So tomorrow's the big day. We are leaving for North Dakota. We figured we'd get everything packed up in the trailer, so as soon as I get home from work tomorrow, we're gonna head out. Caden's gonna get some ice for us tomorrow, load all the coolers up. But we're gonna get everything loaded up in here tonight and take off and hopefully get there as fast as we can tomorrow. It's probably gonna be really late again, probably about 2, 3, 4 a.m. But we gotta get out there as fast as we can because the season opens on Friday and we got a lot of scouting to do before. We might hang a couple tree stands, find a couple spots to sit on the ground, and first of all check out all the fields that are out there. We have no idea what they're planted in, so it's going to be a quick learning thing, but we got to get on them fast. Dad's got 4 days or 5 days. He's going to come out Friday after work, so we're going to have a day ahead of him to get things scouted out and hopefully put them on a deer, and then we're going to stay the rest of the week and hopefully put another one down.
Well, just about in North Dakota. We're going to cross the border in about, I don't know,
couple feet, yeah. So, you know, we're cruising along alright, you know. We're
going pretty good.
Yeah, it's about 11 o'clock right now. So, hopefully, we're going to be cruising into our spot
About
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how accurate we are, but depends on how much wind we got with the trailer. If we hit a gust of wind, she'll go swing, and then it's gonna slow her down a little bit. Otherwise, she pulls pretty good. 3 a.m. Rolled into the camping spot.
Yep, we made it.
I got the sleeping bag kind of filtered in the back here, and we're just gonna camp out in the truck for tonight. We popped the airbed today.
Yeah. So we put a patch on, so we're just gonna camp in the truck tonight.
Yeah, and hopefully get some big bucks tomorrow.
I've seen a lot of deer on our way in.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few, but no bucks. That was the only bad thing. But we're gonna try to get some sleep because it's pretty late and it's been long.
Yeah, I've been up for 23 hours now, so I'm pretty tired.
Yep.
Try to sleep till as long as I can, but we got a lot of work to do and season starts tomorrow at noon, so here we go.
Just got out of the truck. Probably should have pumped up the bed. It was a little cramped and packed in there, but we made it. We got some sleep. We're gonna make a quick breakfast and hopefully go put out a stand or two and check a few new pieces out this year, and I'm hoping we're gonna get on one right away tonight. Otherwise, maybe find one in this afternoon while we're kind of walking around checking a couple new pieces and hopefully get a game plan for the rest of the week. Stand, and there's a big buck standing right in this bean field. Like, if it was 2 hours later, we could stalk right up and kill this buck on the ground. But because season doesn't open till noon, it's only 10:15. We can't have our bow yet. He's just feeding right on that point out there. So we're gonna have to stick tight here for a little bit. We don't want to bump any deer. He's a pretty nice buck. He's a 7-pointer, bud. Solid. No. Don't bend it. Oh shoot. I told you not to bend it. We just got our stands hung for tonight. We put another set of climbing sticks up. We actually busted a strap on one of our stands, so we couldn't set another stand in there, but we have 2 stands probably 200, 250 yards apart, so when Dad comes, we're gonna get a deer down. I know that. If we don't go down tonight, we saw 3 bucks and a doe already, which kind of sucks. The one tall, he's only a 7, but he's really tall. He didn't see us at all, and then a doe. And then a kid said a super giant was down in there, so we're just gonna let it sit for 3-4 hours and then go back in there tonight. Yes! Oh, that's my broken one. You grabbed the broken one. Wow, snapped it right off. Well, we brought an extra mount just in case that happened. Good thing. Just got all situated and stand here. There's a doe, actually, 45 yards out that just stood up in the middle of this bean field. We must have walked right in on it. We're hoping a couple bucks filter out. We set up 2 stands. We decided to sit in the stand that I shot my buck in 2 years ago. All the beans are eating off pretty good on the edge of this field. So we actually saw a nice 7-pointer earlier today when we were hanging the stands. He's out of velvet. We'll see. It's a game time decision buck. Just had a really nice 8-pointer, full velvet walk about 25 yards down from our stand here. I got up in here and I knew I should have had a lane to that trail. Just one little shot is all I would have needed. I'm hoping that he feeds up. He was headed his way up, looked like on an angle right up here, but I don't know, a good encounter with a really nice buck already. First night. Little bucks. Just got back into our camp here. We're gonna cook some supper, but just as we thought we were gonna start to get down, we had 3 does, or no, actually 2 does and a spike buck come up into the field, and they were like 20 yards from us, and then another mom and 2 fawns were down in the woods, and so we couldn't get out forever. But I don't know what the plan for the morning is. We're gonna try to go stalk around, probably not where we were tonight, but we might get back in there tomorrow night and see if we can cut a couple branches off that tree that was in our way tonight, because kind of cost us a big buck. But oh well, it was first night. All in all, I think we seen 8 or 9 deer, so it wasn't too bad. We learned a few things, that's for sure. That's a shooter, bud. A shooter? Yep, that's a 10-pointer. soon as I turn to look at one, there's another one coming. And they're like 30 yards. That buck was like 8 yards. And he just walked away. They didn't really care at all. I think I got a pretty good spot here. Just sitting in the ground. So we're going to switch up things tonight. The wind shifted on us. We got a southeast wind, which is really bad for where we sat last night and where we saw those deer this morning. So we're going to go try a new spot tonight. We got some corn, some beans, and some alfalfa planted around here. It looks like it could be pretty good. Haven't ever been in here, so I guess I don't really know. And we're going to sit here till dark, and we're just going to ground hunt. So stay tuned and see if we see any. Here we are. It's getting down to the wire where there's not too many deer. I mean, I don't know if there's any deer in the area. So hopefully we're gonna do an early season grunt. Hopefully one will stand up out of the weeds and we'll be able to get an eye on him. Haven't grunted in a year since last bow season, so we might be a little rusty. I haven't been practicing. So let's hear it. You gotta get in the weeds too.
That was pretty good until you messed up.
I got a little.
Yeah, but it sounded pretty good.
It wasn't too bad. Now we got a glass. So I figured out how to hunt, especially ground style. I added this little attachment to my nose. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fancy. It smells good and it looks good, and it keeps deer from seeing you because they only see this green corn, so they're like, "Oh, it's just corn. It's okay." And then, then you got this hair, okay? My nose piece is falling off. Anyway, well, you can still keep this, because this, you're walking, but they think it's the wind blowing the grass around. Okay, I mean, it's phenomenal. But look. What?
There's nothing.
Oh yeah, that's typical. Yeah, that's a good idea. Man, wait. Hey, there's a piece of corn laying around. That was amazing. So we're not seeing anything, and we know there's probably not deer over there, so that's where we're going. But we have to make sure there's no deer, okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna sneak up to the top of this mountain, bust everything out of this coulee, make sure everything knows our presence.
Oh yeah.
Just so that we know there's no deer. So when you see, you gotta make sure you carefully cross it.
Yeah.
Especially when you get used to deer.
Yeah.
I made it.
You did. Did you rip your pants? Nice shot, dude. I think you smoked him.
That was a big spike.
Yeah,
Oh, he's got velvet.
velvet.
Let's go get him.
Yeah, let's go find him.
There's a doe right up here in this field. You gotta sneak down around this side. Look at that.
See her?
Mosquitoes are treacherous, bud.
Just spotted some bucks.
Just spotted some bucks in this field.
We're going after them. We're in the big bean field here. It's getting low on dark and I'm running out of camera battery. Let's get going.
Mosquitoes are really bad. Oh, there are 2 bucks.
Like, really, really bad. Mosquitoes.
That's a shooter, bud.
Let's
shooter?
Yep. Got the 10-pointer.
Got shooter in sight. Alright guys, we spotted an absolute freak of nature. Split brows, humongous buck. You can't really see it on my video camera here. It's getting down to the wire for darkness. The camera light. I've never been eaten by so many mosquitoes in my life. But it'd be worth it if we got this buck.
Just got back to camp here after the night hunt. We sat for probably three or 4 hours and didn't see a thing. We were sitting on the edge of the big coulee overlooking it, and we were getting really bored, so we decided we were gonna go find the deer. Well, we did find the deer. We got all the way to this bean field, spotted a doe in the field. We kind of left her because there was a spot that we couldn't see, so we thought we would go around the big point of this grass, and once we got to the other side, I saw a buck, and I was like, oh, there's a buck out there. We got to try to get down there. Well, we got down there, and there ended up being 4 bucks in there, actually. 2 shooters. I belly crawled all the way down the fence line, ducked under the fence line, and got just sit tight on these beans. And once I got in there, I kind of lost track of the big buck, and this little buck kept walking right toward me. Well, I looked to my right, and he was right 50 yards from me to my right, and he hopped the fence. And so I got an arrow loaded, and by this time it's getting really dark. I don't know if my GoPro can see anything. I didn't have time to turn the low light on. But I loaded an arrow and got a range on him, and when he jumped the fence, I lost him. And then he came all the way back to my right, and I was trying to get a range through the weeds, and finally I got a range 33 yards. I was just getting ready to pull back. He was walking, and he had to clear a fence post, and he cleared, and he turned and looked right at me. It's just kind of one of them nights, but at least we saw some deer. Hopefully we can get back on them.
We're gonna go pump up our bed here. So we got one of these air beds. Things are slick, man. So boom, Pro 3 right there. Best thing you can get. If you're a DIY guy like we do, you just gotta get yourself one of these things. All you gotta do is turn this baby, and it does a thing. It's got cutouts for the wheel wells. It's amazing. So you got a whole truck bed, just solid, full of mattress. Perfect sleeping area. So yeah, it's pretty epic. You can hear her. She starts getting high pitched. Solid as rock. Good comfy. We added an extra layer of sheets here, just some old ones.
Tighten the plug.
Make sure you tighten the plug, otherwise it'll leak. Okay, there we go. Yeah, maybe a little more. Oh yeah. So that just kind of adds an extra layer of protection. Unplug her. Boom. Ready to go.
We killed a big buck.
Back out here this morning, and we're gonna go after those bucks that we saw last night. Almost got on. I figured that's probably our best chance on the ground this morning. We're gonna sit on the ground for an hour and a half before it's even light, which is okay if we can get in there quietly. Hopefully those bucks come back to that same little drainage that they were in yesterday, but we're gonna find out.
Third day here in North Dakota. We got up super early this morning, snuck in here. We've seen the big buck last night, Yeah, we got out into the beans, or we walked the whole corn in. Me and Carsen are sitting on two ends of this brush pile. So he's sitting on the east edge and I'm sitting on the west edge. And those does came right down from the beans, down in the coulee. And they took a drink at the pond. And then they started walking back. And we never, so they must be bedded on this hill right where we are. Because they never went across or anything. So we got two deer bedded right, probably within 200 yards, 100 yards from us. Carsen did just see a nice buck. It wasn't a shooter, but he said it walked into the corn. So, I don't know. We'll see. So we're still sitting in the stand, freezing. The wind is supposed to die down. You can see it's still gusting. Tornado almost. And there's no deer. This is the first night we've ever sat in this tree and not seen a deer, so we have a half hour left. I'm still this much hope that there's a deer coming, but it's dying quick. We smoked him, bud. We killed a big buck. Smoked a killing tree Sunday night. Dude. Yeah! That was smoked him. I just killed a big buck. Dude, I didn't even have the camera quite focused, but did the arrow pass through? No, it's stuck in hard. I think you gotta, I mean, that's it's like a hard shot. You buried it in there. That's the 8. That's the 8. That's the big 8 you seen yesterday. I can't even believe this, bud. I can't believe this right now. Really? I literally turned around and said, bud, there's a giant buck standing right there. No clue where it came from or anything. Oh, yes! Tagged out again in North Dakota, buddy. He's out of velvet, but yeah, he shed velvet in 2 days. But that's okay. That is a giant, giant buck. Yes! I can't even believe this. 2 days he shed his velvet. Man, my heart was pounding too. It was so quick. I was like, okay, Bud's like, he's walking. I was like, okay. And I literally stood up like this and drew back. And I was just about to go behind that tree. And I was like, meh. And I just settled it literally right behind the shoulder and I stuck him good. Really good. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped. He couldn't do it far. He's done. He's done. He's gotta be right. So Bud and I were just sitting here, you know, and we're thinking of the dumbest things in the street stand. Messing around, watching us grunting last night. Yeah. I mean, it was literally the last half hour of light. And I looked, I'm like, I'm just gonna look, and I'm like, there's a huge buck, and he's 20 yards. I'm like, bud, get the camera ready. We gotta get this deer. And he came in right under our tree again, Sunday night, third night of season. That one is out of velvet. It was the same buck we seen opening night in velvet, which kind of sucks, but I don't care. He's a monster, and I drilled him, and we're tagged. Oh, yeah! Okay, I'm still shaking. I got a text in the back.
Bubbles in it there. There. It's awesome. It's pretty good right there. He's that right there. He's right there. Where? Oh. See him.
Dude. Yes. Heck yeah. Stellar buck right there.
September 6th, Sunday night, third night of North Dakota bow season. I killed this buck out of the same tree stand that I killed my 10-pointer out of 2 years ago on a Sunday night, the third night. The weather conditions weren't ideal today. It was about 35-mile-an-hour wind and about 60 to 65 degrees, cooling off all day. So we decided, well, we kind of flip-flopped around a few stands and decided to go sit in that tree and see if we could repeat history. And sure enough, about 8 o'clock, we were just kind of sitting there fooling around, and I looked in the field and this buck was standing there. So it was kind of like, okay, well, we got to be really quiet. And then he started walking right toward our tree stand. While I was still sitting, I had my bow. Caden was getting the camera ready. And it was just a matter of time until he walked out into one of my lanes. I stood up and drew back at the same time while he was walking away. And luckily, he started to walk a little bit to his right, so he turned more broadside, and I stopped him and let it fly, and he probably went about 100 yards. And we are tagged out in North Dakota.
Well, we're gonna punch the tag.
There goes the tailgate.
Yep, cut my tailgate. What is it, the 6th?
Half and half. Well, that ain't bad.
Tags on 2020.
Tags on, tagged out.
Notch
Boom.
ready.